Welcome to Ericsson Imagine Live from Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. It's amazing to be here again and to have you with us for this show. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat so we can come back and answer them later in the show. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand over to our President and CEO, Börje Ekholm.
Thank you, Matt. It's really great to be here again at Mobile World Congress. And today, I want to talk about the importance of our industry, but also about how our industry can reclaim value and grow again. Our founder, Lars Magnus Ericsson, believed that connectivity is a basic human need. And if we fast forward, we can see how much our industry has changed the world. It's the most democratic and inclusive technology the world has ever seen, with 8.5 billion subscriptions worldwide. There is no more affordable and cost-efficient technology. It connects and empowers everyone. In fact, the recent digitalization decade has been driven by mobile connectivity. Just think about the everyday transformation from the app economy during the last decade of digitalization, and we can expect 5G to drive this even more. Our industry continues to evolve, and our networks are becoming more resilient, open, sustainable, and intelligent. Our Cloud RAN portfolio provides flexible deployment options to our customers, and is one of the key steps towards a more open architecture that can leverage cloud as well as AI for automation. Our industry has a key assets in our unique global scale with 8.5 billion subscriptions. We as an industry need to work together and continue to harmonize network specifications as part of one global set of standards. This will deliver the best performance, enable innovation, while maintaining our unique global scale. We partner with leading technology companies to bring these benefits to our customers towards industry-scale Open RAN. One of the key players in making the evolution to industry-scale Open RAN happen is our long-term partner, Intel. And I'm very happy to have here today the CEO of Intel, Pat Gelsinger. Pat, it's great to see you.
Hey, Börje, thank you for letting me join your keynote at Mobile World Congress and being here together to talk about the great stuff that we're doing. Börje, as we think about this moment in history, everything is becoming more digital. And I've described what I call the 5 superpowers that are enabling that digitization of everything. Everything computes. Right? With the edge and cloud, we have infrastructure, right? Everything is taking advantage of AI. We can now sense where you are and everything about you and see and feel. But the most important, connectivity. Everyone and everything is becoming connected. But to make that connectivity truly pervasive, we have to change the network. We have to cloudify and turn to software that network so that we can truly deliver it at scale, right? And as 5G deployments are now happening, and as we look forward to, private 5G and 6G, this cloudification, this turning the network soft is becoming so critical to our future. And that requires the deep collaboration of industry players like you and I.
You're absolutely right. And the whole leveraging cloud and AI for automation is going to be critical in the future. And the flexibility of deploying the networks are really going to be important. So let us learn a bit more about your product portfolio.
Thank you. And I love talking about our products. And what we have right here, in fact, is the next generation of the Intel Xeon processor, or our 4th gen Xeon scalable processor. But this one's special, right? It has the Intel vRAN boost technology as part of it. And essentially you have the software, right, that we just keep getting faster and faster with Moore's Law, but we also accelerate the key functions required to make the network perform. And this provides, I'll say, the magic of performance, right? And every generation we're doubling the performance, but also power efficiency as well. And to us, that's the magic, right? That we truly can scale in software, but we can accelerate for maximum power efficiency as well.
Of course, we're excited to run our Cloud RAN on the Xeon processor, but it also shows how versatile the software is and how well we can port. But what I think is actually also interesting and important is the view we have on performance as well as power consumptions as really key features of the network of the future. And we're convinced of that as well. So I think the collaboration with Intel is really critical to drive the whole industry towards an industry scale Open RAN. And of course, that's an important cooperation on your chip. But equally important is actually the work we do in the Open RAN Alliance to start to harmonize standards across the different ecosystems. And I think benefiting of the global scale is going to be critical for innovation, for performance, as well as for developing the network of the future.
And, it's so important what we do, right, together, but it's even more important how we bring the industry along, how we enable that broad ecosystem. Because, as strong as we are, we can't do this alone, right? We need that participation, that effort of the ecosystem. And I am so happy to be doing that with you.
Yeah, we are very excited, of course, about our technology lab, the Ericsson Intel Technology Lab. That's important. But just as you said, what may be more important is to form the whole ecosystem. So what we do in the Open Lab together with 30 customers and partners to drive innovation on cloud as well as virtualization, I think is really important. Well, thank you for joining me. It's great to see you as always.
Thank you, Borje.
That was really great. And I'm going to be talking to three experts now about some key topics. Let me start with Savinay. Hello.
Hey, how you doing,
Good to
Matt?
see you again.
Good to see you.
Great
Yeah.
to see you. So, Vonage became part of Ericsson recently. Can you tell me, what does that acquisition really bring to our customers, but to other audiences as well?
Yeah, so it's been about 7 months since the acquisition. Very exciting 7 months. Since that time, what we have done is we've actually enabled that vision that we brought ourselves together on, which was how do we take network APIs, which is, I know, a lot of conversation happening in Mobile World Congress this year. How do we take network APIs and make that a reality? How do we actually unlock the power of the network, the 5G investments that a lot of the customers, the CSP customers have made over the past few years? How do we unlock the value inside of that? It's fascinating as we were doing some more research on this. Release 15 and 16 came out in 2015 and 2016, which introduced the concept of the SCEF and the NEF, which were the components of network functions which could be enabled to create value, like quality of service, like network slicing, like device data, etc. It's been 7 years.
Yeah.
And really nothing has happened since then. And one of the reasons nothing really happened in terms of unlocking it was because these are complex services. How do you take this complexity and simplify it for developers worldwide? And by the way, there are no 5G developers that I know of. There are no developers who themselves come out and say, yeah, I'm a 5G developer. I don't think there are many like that. There are web developers and there are mobile developers. And yes, in the future, there'll be more metaverse and XR kind of developers. For these developers, what they need is just functionality, just simple functionality. I have a video feed. I have a telehealth application in which I'm doing a video feed. How do I make that video feed become a lot more robust so it doesn't have any jitter, doesn't have any issues in glitching? Well, you do that by taking the power of the network, things like quality of service, and enabling it as if they don't have to make any changes whatsoever. They keep using whatever they're already using in mobile or in the web. So that's where Vonage comes in, right? Because what we are doing now is we're taking all of those network services, which Ericsson's been working on with the CSP customers, and enabling that complexity and simplifying it so that it can be used by the millions of developers and enterprises worldwide. So ultimately, our goal is that users like you and I, when we are having an issue where if it's a video feed or if you want to get authenticated, we can now do that. And guess where all that power comes from? From the network. But nobody will know it because it's all hidden behind the scenes.
Really amazing. I mean, you fascinated me from the beginning, and I'm going to take you right back to that, I'm afraid, because you worked with developers for years, big communities that kind of work on top of a platform. But for the telco audience, is our main audience here today, maybe the term network APIs is a bit unusual. So how would you best sort of introduce that to them?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's almost like, think of compute and storage, right? The analogy that I give is when the cloud hyperscalers started, the Amazons and the Googles of the world, they started early in the 2000s, and even before that potentially, you don't really have a term for what was called the compute or the storage services. These were things which were static. But now you can add a compute service, you can add a node, you can add a storage node, and you don't ever have to worry about where that's happening. Well, network has to happen like that. The extensibility of the network has to happen the same way. The services underneath, things like the quality of service I mentioned earlier, which has been around for a long time, but again, not being commercialized. Device data, that's an API which sits inside the network. And by the way, there's a lot of great work happening in standardization as well with Kamara, which is doing this work of taking all the components of the APIs and standardizing it so they can be consumed by people like us, and we can create an open platform for anybody to come in and build on. So the network APIs are really just functions of the network, which are now exposed as standardized API endpoints. An API is just an application programmable interface. That's all it is, which basically means you're taking a function and now you are making it accessible to millions of people and doing that in a standardized way. So that's what we're trying to do.
I really appreciate the explanation. I'm sure everybody else does as well. Thank you so much. Now, if anyone has any more questions, later in the show, you could ask the Ericsson CTO some more on this subject as well. So take advantage of that. Leave your comments in the chat. Thank you so much, Savinay. I'm going to see you soon. Enjoy the show.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thanks.
And now I'm going to talk to Sibel. Hello.
Hi, Matt.
About 5G monetization. And that is probably the hottest topic at the event this year. And my question is going to be, what kind of use cases are you going to be talking about and sharing at this event?
So 5G, as you know, Matt, is the first wireless technology that brings applications beyond mobile broadband. And we already see early applications and early indications that 5G revenue is actually increasing in the top 20 5G markets, and mainly driven by the high-performance 5G networks. So what we are seeing today is that fixed wireless access and early applications of slicing are the main drivers of this revenue growth. And for example, in the US, fixed wireless access subscribers grew from 800,000 to 4 million in just 1 year.
Wow.
And going forward, we see a lot of applications and very interesting applications around consumers and the enterprises, mainly enabled by advanced slicing, XR, AR, and also positioning. And here in Barcelona, we have a lot of exciting demos with our partners, with Google, with Meta, with Microsoft, Google, and many more. So it's very, very exciting that's happening here and now.
It really sounds exciting. You sound excited. The questions coming from customers, not just how do I monetize, but I think also what we need to explain is how can they do it? How can they change their network? What do they need to do to be able to get after these new business opportunities?
Correct. And it's very important. So first of all, consistent user experience will be the main driver. So we need to ensure that the user experience in the 5G networks are consistent while catering the traffic growth in their network. So this means that they need to take some actions. So first of all, they need to ensure that every macro site in their network has mid-band spectrum, because this spectrum is essential for higher performance and higher capacity. And we, as you know, has an industry-leading portfolio which will enable for an ease of deployment with the best performing in their network. So that's the first thing they should do, mid-band everywhere. Second is indoor. Majority of our time, as we know, and mobile traffic is actually generated indoors. And high-performing indoor connectivity is becoming an extremely crucial infrastructure for both consumers and also for the enterprises, which means that we need to also do something for indoor. But we also know that indoor is challenging because it's fragmented. It has different size of deployments, it has different needs, it has different business models, so it is challenging. But as you know what? Actually, it is changing now. We are coming very recently with 3 new solutions for indoor that will make it easier than ever to deploy, scale, and monetize indoor in 5G.
But please tell me more about those solutions.
So first of all, we are coming with a high-performing multi-operator IRU solution, which is perfect for large venues. Second, we are coming with compact plug-and-play solution that is perfect for medium and small-scale enterprises. And finally, we are coming with the industry-leading indoor positioning solution with sub-1 meter accuracy that is perfect for seamless tracking for the assets for any type of indoor environment. So combining all these three solutions will give opportunities to CSPs to monetize their indoor investments and get the best out of 5G deployments.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me.
Very
I'll
welcome.
see you soon. Take
you.
care. Hi, Emily.
Hello.
Good to
Matt.
see you
Hi,
again.
Nice
Hi.
to see you.
Emily, there's so many fantastic topics at Mobile World Congress, too many to choose from. But surely the only one that matters really is climate action. And let's start off with, what's Ericsson doing?
Yeah, I think we are in a great spot because our industry can not only work with ourselves, we can also enable other industries to do action. But if we start with ourselves, because we need to be credible, I'm really happy to say that Ericsson committed to be net zero within our whole value chain by 2040.
Wow.
And this is a major commitment. So that basically means that we, from the 2020 levels, we will need to decarbonize 90% of our emissions until 2040, and then neutralize the remaining 10% by permanent carbon removals. But 2040 is quite a long way to go. So we've also said that 2030 is our biggest milestone. We will halve the value chain emissions. We will halve what we work with supply chain action, our own activities, and also our portfolio in use, and that's the lifetime emission for that. So that's really crucial. But action now is even more crucial. So here we need to continue working with lowering our embodied carbon emissions of our products by choosing a better design, the materials, and work with our suppliers so they also reduce their own emissions. We need to work with ourselves, and we're doing that continuously, for example, by buying renewable energy for our facilities. But then the biggest impact is the energy our products actually consuming at the end during operation. And here we need to continue focusing on energy performance. And I think one of the really cool examples we have here is how we have innovated by the Ericsson Silicon, creating this really high performing products with that also is lightweight. So we are supposing to actually support supply chain action as well. But by having those products, we can be more energy efficient, also supporting our energy performance within the products in operation. And I think that's really cool. And I really hope that you have also know about our breaking the energy curve concept,
Yeah.
really looking into how our customers can deploy 5G while breaking the energy curve of the mobile networks.
That's excellent. You've really covered what's close to home. But I'm wondering, what can we do for broader industries and society as a whole?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, actually. And thanks to our Ericsson research, we know that the whole industry stands for around 1.4 of global greenhouse gas emissions. But we can have the potential to enable 15% across industries up to 2030 in reductions only. And that was with the legacy portfolio. So now when we add 5G, AI, IoT, we know we can do more. And taking, for example, an industry case, when we deployed 5G in the port of Livorno in Italy, only in one terminal, by having 5G, we optimized the port operations and vessel berthing and reduced 8% of the carbon emission within that one terminal. And that's just one use case in one industry. So if you really deploy it across industries, we can do more. And I think we can even go beyond these 15%.
That is really excellent. It can't just be about targets, though. And I think a lot of the people in business watching this will surely realize that there are massive economic reasons to do this, as well as doing good.
Exactly. And, by actually looking at the energy, as we've seen, you will reduce cost, but it's actually doing more because, climate change is the biggest challenge we will face this century. And we really need to act. Otherwise, we will not really have the planet we know today to live in. And I think that's really important to remember.
It absolutely is. On that serious note, I need to say thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank
See you later.
Bye.
Well, I've really enjoyed these conversations about the main themes that are here at Mobile World Congress. But also, as you can see around us, we've got lots of demonstrations. And to take us through the real highlight ones from this year is going to be Lisa and Johan.
Welcome to our future technology experience. This will take you through a journey in a world beyond 2030. So let's start off with a short video.
world where everything is connected, the digital and physical worlds will blur. Everything will be transformed to a digital equivalent so that the consequences of a change can be seen in a virtual space before it's transferred to the physical world. This digitalized and programmable world will open the door to countless opportunities, which will benefit industry and society. Limitless connectivity and applications such as connected microgrids and biodegradable zero-energy devices will help us take on our biggest common challenge, creating a sustainable world, dematerialize value chains, minimize footprints, and build circular economies. With digital inclusion, we create a more level playing field for everyone.
Excited? I certainly am. So let's now go and look how the future 6G network will enable that future. Come and see. So, welcome to our dome, and now lift our gaze towards the ceiling. We can see here examples of trustworthy networks will play a crucial role to enable secure and resilient connections among humans, enterprises, and mission-critical infrastructures. We can see how the network will extend to a global network compute fabric, where networking, compute, and data are intertwined, distributed, and made available to application developers through easily accessible APIs. With AI-based operation and optimization, the network will become fully cognitive, autonomous, and capable of zero-touch operation. And in the cyber-physical continuum, limitless connectivity will synchronize our physical reality with its digital representations. Networks will connect trillions of zero-energy sensors, and where needed, networks will provide extreme performance up to hundreds of gigabits per second. And all of this will be made possible through a wide range of technologies, spectrum, and infrastructure solutions. From radio stripes and radio dots in the dense areas, and all the way to satellites providing connectivity to the deepest forests and the widest seas. So, how far have we come then with concrete technology exploration in our research labs? Here we will show 4 concrete demos. The first one is about the 6G, a digital twin of a 6G network. So my colleague Nicholas here, he's walking around in this 3D model of Kista, Stockholm, so the Ericsson headquarters location. But this is, as you see, this is not only a visualization that you see. This is actually what we're running here is a real application through our 6G stack. So through the 6G baseband, and then we are using a digital twin of the radio and the propagation environment of Kista. And that is what you see on the screen. And as you see, when Nicholas is moving around there, the performance and the different the KPIs varies here, so bit rates and so on. So this is what you're showing here. So it's real data transmitted through the system, except through the radio and propagation models where we use digital twin technology. And this is very useful. We are doing this in our research on 6G. So we are using this as a tool to try out and test features and so on in the digital twin. And it can also be used in other purposes, for instance, to train AI models before implementing them or having them live in the system. Okay, so next demo. Here we show peak throughput of 6G. And this we are doing in the sub-terahertz band, so high up in spectrum. Here, what we have done here is that we are using the same baseband stack as we showed in the previous demo, but here we actually have a real radio. So here we have digital radio boards running here live, as you can see. And at this point, we have a throughput, as you can see here on the screen, of beyond 100 gigabits per second. And I can show you here also that we have implemented link adaptation and so on. So if we introduce noise, first of all, you will see that the throughput goes down a bit and the system adapts. So let's move on now to the next one. This one, the stunning 100 gigabits per second is fantastic, yes, of course, but we are running that in the sub-terahertz spectrum, as I said. And that has its limitations. You can get this fantastic peak throughput, but you have very limited coverage. So what is more relevant spectrum also for 6G is what we call the centimetric wave band. That's 7 to 15 gigahertz spectrum. And that comes with other challenges. Here we have implemented again, and it's running real here, a power amplifier. It's actually 2 power amplifiers here. Wideband power amplifiers. And they, as you can see here on the screen, each of them, here they transmit 2 carriers of 400 megahertz each. So with this wide bandwidth capability, we can flexibly place component carriers in this wide range of spectrum. So that is critical actually to get this implemented in this spectrum. Yeah. So let's move on to the last example that we show here. And this, I would say, if 100 gigabits per second is on one end of the scale, this is kind of the other end of the scale. Here we are working on a scenario where we have like trillions of sensors all around us. First part, use case part, we are working with researchers at MIT, and they have developed this. They have worked with this, with, you could say, sensor fibers that they have knitted together in this vest. So each crossing in such a garment like the vest or this sweater makes up a sensor, which means that in this one we have thousands of sensors. And with these sensors in this use case, this can be used, for instance, to detect human interactions with environment, so for health applications and so on, to detect posture and so on. So, but in this one, the first generation of this one, it's cabled, as you see, but we want to get rid of cabling and we don't want to have batteries. So here comes the other part of this one. So we, again, with MIT, we have developed this tiny chip that can actually, well, that you can see a close-up here on in the microphone, or sorry, in the microscope. So this chip is able to harvest energy from the radio signal. We have radio signals all around us. So this can harvest radio energy and actually bounce it back towards the base station with information. So this means that you don't need any batteries. And with this chips integrated with an antenna onto this garment, this is one use case, but you could think of thousands of use cases with sensors all around us. And we don't want to place batteries in them, we don't want to charge them, and we don't want to cable them. So this is another key promising capability of 6G to enable trillions of connected sensors and devices out there with no batteries. So that was a glimpse of what we are doing when it comes to 6G exploration at Ericsson. As you see, we are already now preparing for a future beyond 2030 in our exploration. But I have to say, this is exploration still. It's nothing near to a product, of course. So with that said, let's go out and check what Lisa has to show on the demo floor.
Thank you, Johan. That was some truly inspiring and visionary things that we just got to experience over there. Now I'm going to take you down to earth and see some more hands-on here now things. 5G truly is a platform for innovation and shows exponential growth opportunities across both industries, consumers, and for the society. So In this segment today, I will show you about 5G deployments and the new solutions we've solved. I will show you also about 5G business opportunities and some of these really amazing use cases and what the whole ecosystem is bringing together. But first, I'm going to go and talk to Angelo. Hi, Angelo.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. So we're standing in front of the city model.
Yes, it's a classic one.
For our returning visitors, this is a classic demo and one of our most popular ones. So what are we showing this year?
As you said, this is a classic, but the content will change every year because we follow the tendency, dynamic of the market. So this year is all about trade-offs. CSP's trade-offs. We put ourselves in their shoes and try to articulate and help them in the key trade-offs when it comes to the strategic and business aligned principles. What we have in mind as a backdrop in our minds is always the key objectives from CSPs, which is grow revenue, reduce cost, and absolutely risk-free operations. And as we know, trade-offs by principle is that when we focus on one area, may risk others. And then that's the type of conversation we have here. So when we put ourselves in the CSP shoes, we make sure that we have in a business-oriented point of view, which technology makes sense to invest when. And that's with the business intent and always have these three components in our heads. How to grow revenue, reduce cost, and make sure that we have absolutely risk-free operations.
That sounds complex.
It is.
Can you show me a bit of how will the conversations run this week?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is complex. So the whole idea of have this city model is basically to make sure that we have realistic scenarios. So we have areas of the city like any others, which is metropolitan areas. We have more suburban areas. We have a stadium, which is opportunity for consumers. But also we have a couple of verticals like manufacturing and harbor. So the question is, when it comes to the network, as you can see, is represented by cells, radio. We have core network. We have AI and the operation side of it, make the automation of this. How does everything make sense in a meaningful way? So the next one that I will show is just to represent how we bring everything together. So it's a lot of things going on, but just to have a hint on how we do that conversation. Basically, as you can see, we see number of cells, carriers, different from mid-band to high-band. We have also AI coming in from the OSS and BSS point of view to make sure that we have risk-free operations. Then we make sure that in the core network, we invest in the capabilities when it comes to 5G standalone, which is pretty much part of the cloud journey. Then we have exposure, slicing, you name it. And then in a thing that makes sense from consumer, from enterprise, but also from mission critical application. That's how we have different setups using slice and different technologies. And in the end of the day, is up to our customers to select the best alternatives for their strategy.
It's all about trade-offs, right?
It's all about trade-offs this year.
Thank you so much, Angelo.
No problem. Happy.
Hi, Sibel. You just spoke to Matt about 5G monetization opportunities and network deployments. But now in a new place, and this is also another show favorite. We just came from another show favorite, which is the big, city model, but the hardware wall, this is where the crowds really come in.
Correct.
So you've had some exciting launches lately. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Of course. I mean, I'm extremely excited because our latest launch is the biggest in many years. Actually, we are bringing a lot of new products into our portfolio. So first of all, we are bringing 10 new radios in our remote radio as well as in our Massive MIMO portfolio, which has lower size, weight, power consumption, and higher bandwidth. We are also bringing 3 new products in our transport portfolio, which has 4 times more capacity. And we are also bringing 2 new indoor products, which will make it easier to deploy and scale in indoors for 5G. And on top of it, we are bringing many innovative software features on top, which will boost the performance, reduce the energy consumption, and also provide indoor precise positioning with sub-1 meter accuracy. So all these things together will enable operators to have 10 times more capacity while reducing the overall power consumption by 30% and open up completely new possibilities for monetization.
Wow, that sounds super exciting.
Yes.
And you said something which I know is on top of people's agenda everywhere, and especially for communication service provider, which is about energy efficiency.
Correct.
Can you tell me a bit more about how these products support their need to, reduce their energy consumption?
Definitely. I mean, as you said, energy efficiency is top of mind for everyone, and breaking the energy curve is not an option. It is our responsibility to our customers and to our environment. And this product is all about providing more with less. And in our portfolio, we are bringing different solutions, and we are fully committed to both reducing the power consumption and the carbon footprint, our own production, and as well as helping our CSPs to reduce energy bills and helping them to reach their net zero targets. And few highlights that I can provide. First of all, our new remote radio, triple band 4485, which has our new band triple band radio, which reduces the carbon footprint by 50%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we have another massive MIMO radio, which is also new, which is the industry leading 6476, which has 600 megahertz IBW, and it has only 30 kilos. So it is really the first in the market. And on top of it, we're also running energy efficiency features across all these radios. And what it does is that these radios and 5Gs are on only when it is needed, which means that when there is no traffic, we go to deep sleep. And it provides 94% energy consumption reduction between the high traffic and no traffic. So overall, all of them are thanks to our latest generation of Ericsson silicon, gives the latest and greatest, and provide the more with less.
For the non-telco nerds, that was a lot of numbers, but I think the most important thing to remember, more with less, right?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you so much, Sibel.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hi there, Kim.
Hi, Lisa.
So 5G is live now in over 140 Ericsson networks globally.
Yes.
Are we starting to see anything about how the 5G frontrunners are doing?
Yes. So in the top 20 5G markets, we see that there is a positive revenue growth since the beginning of 2020. And that growth is actually correlates with the penetration rate in those markets at the same time.
And that's the 5G penetration, right?
Yes, it
Is
is.
this, if you're wondering why the flat line is here, is because this is when 5G was introduced.
Absolute. You are completely correct. And that penetration rate is around 20% now. What does that mean? It means that for these frontrunners, they have another 80% users who are not moved to 5G yet to grow. And that is an exciting moment for the following years.
So that's both really interesting and also encouraging. Can you show me a bit more about these 5G business opportunities?
That is actually all this demo is about. So we identify the top 7 use cases in the 5G development. FWA, connect the unconnected. Mission critical communications when the connectivities matter the most. For the consumer business, we also see cloud gaming is a really young and exciting market that we are very looking forward to. For XR, we expected it to be enabled by up to 1 billion devices in 2030. And in the same year, broadcasting can potentially reach $12 billion in revenue with the streaming services. And 5G is also the era for enterprise. So our CSPs can enable enterprise industry transformation truly in the 5G era. That's why we have private networks and wireless one also in this demo.
And we will actually see some of these and as I continue the tour. But are any of these more mature than others?
I will say FWA can be the one that we should always remember. It is the largest use case after mobile broadband.
Yeah.
And then we estimate that it will reach 300 million connections by 2028 already, with revenue around 67 billion USD, 67 billion USD.
A lot of numbers, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
so many numbers in the monetization by then.
Yeah.
And then also FWA is really easy and fast to deploy because it leverages CSP sites already.
Exactly, they're existing networks.
Yes,
Yeah.
so if you think about ROI, FWA is your go-to place.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm going to move over here now and meet Christian. Hi, Christian. So this is a Teams call that we're going to see here, right? And the quality of Teams calls have really been a pain point that we all have seen in the last couple of years. Can you tell me a bit about what you're showcasing in this demo?
Yep, sure. Here we show how to monetize 5G standalone with slicing. And we do that with our own SA network here, where we deployed 4 performance levels, 4 slices on commercial hardware and software. And on this, we run, as in this example, a Teams call from a Google Pixel smartphone using Android 13 and USB to a 5G-enabled HP laptop, Intel Inside with Windows 11 and also USB. And this call, the 5G data, we put on the premium performance levels, which is better for conversational video.
That's cool because I can see myself here, so it's definitely live.
Yep.
But what are the 3 most important insights to remember from this demo that you're showing here?
Yeah, the first one is a sense of urgency. 5G standalone is here now. It is possible for CSPs to deploy it and start to earn money on B2C and B2B. The second is to make sure to sell it right. To make sure to use the power of slicing to create customized or tailored connectivity differently for different user groups. And the third is that we are now in the beginning of the 3rd era in our industry after voice and SMS mobile internet, where we start with B2C and B2B. It evolves into communication platform as a service, into all the great use cases that we see all over Barcelona today.
And is this live with any customers today?
To some extent, it is already with our leading customers, and we expect it to go mainstream in 10 to 18 months.
So this is based on slicing, and slicing is definitely a hot topic at this event. We will actually go, after this one, we'll go and see another slicing demo, which is super interesting, a bit more playful maybe than this. But what is sort of the end user benefits of slicing?
Yeah, so imagine, for example, you need to take that important Teams call, and you're maybe in an airport or on the train or in someone else's office. So you just pick up the phone, you click join, and immediately you get not only the perfect radio conditions that you need, but the operator can also guarantee the connectivity all the way to the server and back to give you exactly what you need. So for the end user, slicing really means that it just works and very well.
It just works.
Yeah,
I would love a team call that just works. Thank you so much, Christian.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Hi, Jon.
Hello.
Hello. So, gaming.
Yep.
This is such an interesting area, and we just spoke about how this is a big business opportunity for the CSPs. And I've understood that the gaming market is bigger than the music and movie industry combined. Is that right?
That's true. It's billions of dollars. And, you know, when we talk about slicing, it's not just slicing. You have to put something in it. And this is a demo to see. It's about why you want to do slicing. So we've taken, you know, cloud gaming is about any screen, anywhere, or any screen at least playing the game. And now we're taking it anywhere as well. So you combine here, you can see, this is Huddle, sort of esport game, playing on 5G slice. And when you combine slicing and esport and 5G, you get gaming on steroids. I kid you not, this is the funniest demo at the World Congress.
I think this is going to be packed this week, I'm sure. And who are they playing against?
They are playing against Madrid, and Vodafone Madrid has set up an equal site on their side. So we're playing 2 5G networks, network slicing, 5G standalone, and we're playing this game which is already in a confined area. Now we're taking it outside. And outside is where you need this because it demands space.
Yeah.
Moving is a good thing, right? Gaming is also a good
Absolutely.
thing. We are combining it.
All right, cool. Anything special you want to show with the game here?
Well, you know, the game can be seen on a screen like that, can be seen on a phone, can be seen live or afterwards. It's statistics, it's all this. This is where it comes to live, why you want to do slicing, then how we set it up. I think we need these kind of demos to show that you can do something on day one once you go standalone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is all about the here and now.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Jon.
Thank you.
We are going to move on to something which is equally exciting, but maybe a little bit less playful. So, see you later, Jon.
See you.
Bye. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
So, enterprises, they have a strong need to simplify their operations, you know, make sure they are agile and resilient. And connectivity really plays a key role here. And we talked a little bit about the business opportunities around the enterprise segment. And how can CSPs really work with that segment?
I'm glad that you asked it. So we really hope to bring communication service providers to this area to showcase how they can monetize with 5G in two ways. One is to increase the technology's adoption into the enterprise space. And the second reason why is because we're providing them with the opportunity to create revenue generating services for the enterprise segment. So we have a broad portfolio that they can tap into so they increase the enterprise's spend within the carriers with the CSPs. So it's pretty good stuff.
Sounds really good. And I see some stuff here, which we always like. And I understand you have two private network offerings here. How do they compare?
They complement. So we have Ericsson Private 5G, which is an offering for private networks that we've seen in manufacturing, ports, airports, mining. So it's a carrier grade, more industrial OT private networking solution, taking everything that Ericsson has, all the technology, and put it in on-prem. So this is Ericsson Private 5G, mixed mode, working with both 4G, 5G, it's a global solution. Here we're addressing a different buyer and a different connectivity need. So this is net new. It's called NetCloud Private Networks and is addressing a more lean IT buyer. So here is in the industrial, we're talking a more lean IT buyer. Those are enterprises that are in, for example, healthcare, retail, government and education, and they want to buy a private network. Package everything that they need in one subscription, and this is what Cradlepoint NetCloud delivers. So together, we have the broadest portfolio of private networking solutions addressing different connectivity needs, different buyers, and today, NetCloud Private Networks is available in the US via CBRS spectrum with 4G.
Got it. Cool. And when I walked over to you, I saw some stuff which is behind me now, which I also wanted to ask you about a little bit, because this looks really exciting.
It is.
What is all this?
So we know that, you started the conversation, understand that 5G is an ecosystem game, and we truly live through that. So Ericsson Enterprise Wireless Solutions has a broad portfolio of ecosystem partners. So all the cool stuff that we see here, those are devices to connect to private networks or wireless WAN. Those are system integrators and professional services. They're going to build those end-to-end solutions. And we also have software and applications to manage all of it. So we have a broad portfolio of ecosystem partners to bring all of it, end-to-end solutions to enterprises.
It really does take a village, doesn't it?
It does.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen. So I hope you have really enjoyed this whistle-stop tour of our demo area. And I would love to spend at least another hour or so here with you today, but I think I have to hand it over to Matt, right?
You're right, Lisa. And thank you for that whistle-stop tour. Super exciting, very enjoyable. Now we're getting into the wrap-up of the show. You can see we're starting to get busier here as well, which is really exciting. Don't forget to put your questions in the chat. We can try and fit them in. And I've been joined for this section by our CTO, Eric Akudin. Hey, Eric. Great to see you.
Hello, Matt.
Exciting to be back at Barcelona, isn't it?
It's starting to get crowded.
It is. And I took a look at some of the questions and chat that we've had online already. And I think we can try and do like a walk and talk through this space, if that's all right. And let's start off. We've got questions about how we move forward the network. 5G advanced, the work that's still needed to be done. We've only had the initial deployment, really. So where do we go with the rollout of new technologies? And let's see how we can move through this getting crowded space.
We will get to that. We will get to 5G advanced. But I think it's good to start with what we've learned just over the last couple of years, that networks become more important, meaning having mid-band coverage everywhere, being able to service our customers with energy-efficient solutions, and of course, high-performance solutions. This is really about performance in the macro environment, the outdoor, but also in the indoor. So I think it's great to be able to show the new lineup of the indoor portfolio. Which is really helping, not just smart manufacturing, but any enterprise, any indoor environment to get really good 5G coverage, mid-band and the lower bands. And of course, indoor positioning is one of the things that really comes on top of that. Great addition. But then also, when we look at the broader portfolio of energy-efficient solutions, multi-band solutions, all of that really lowering the cost per gigabyte. And I think that's super important for customers. And of course, energy efficiency being one of the key parameters also going forward.
And we've heard that earlier in the show, not just from the perspective of what we need to do to help with the climate crisis, but of course it's an economic decision nowadays.
It's very much so now.
Very much, yeah.
But that will also take us to kind of the new flexibility and the new deployment scenarios. How can you deploy 5G networks in new environments? And that's really what we are showcasing when it comes to the evolution on the Cloud RAN side, being able to run in new enterprise environments, being able to cover deployments that weren't really possible to do before. That's a great addition, and of course we do it with partnerships like the one we're showcasing here with Intel.
Absolutely, and then a more open ecosystem is developing as well, which means lots more collaboration opportunities for us all. Yeah, and talking about this new opportunities to deploy new techniques and collaborations, automation is obviously a big topic going forward too.
I would say it has been for quite some time. Automation of the operations, but it's everything about more efficient algorithms in the nodes, all the way up to the SMO and the RApps layer. And I think we see a lot of good progress on the automation, as you say. It has to be multi-vendor, sort of multiple RAN vendors, and you can still have one and the same automation platform. We're showing our apps here, what you can do both on the operational efficiency side, as well as new apps to help you monetize your network. And that could come into being able to offer dedicated performance when the service needs it. It could be in terms of specific positioning services. All of that comes with the flexibility, both of the automation platforms, as well as the open framework with our apps. So I think that's good progress in that area as well.
Absolutely, and as we walk through now, we have our operations engine, some of our AI cloud portfolio as well. You know, the full sort of breadth of what is needed for an operator today comes together. At an event like this, it's great to see it all, and we can walk through it as well. So, but we start to think about not just the technological challenges ahead of us, but also the business ones. And we're going to walk into the monetized space in a moment, but I see something on the table here, and I just want to discuss this with you, because earlier in the show, we saw this zero energy devices and a first glimpse of 6G.
Yeah.
What do things like this mean to you?
Yeah. No, I think you mentioned it. It's really about kind of the long-term view. What does technology enable us to do? We like to work with technology leaders. We want to work with partnerships. We want to work with our own, of course, research to be able to push the boundaries. And as you saw this before, is one example of where we're going to get billions, if not trillions, of sensors. This woven into clothes. But I think that it just shows that when we look at the evolution, 5G advance into 6G, it needs to cater for new needs. And energy harvesting or zero energy sensors is one part that we need to push the boundaries on, because obviously we cannot have batteries, we cannot have charging as one of the showstoppers. We need to make it a part of the fabric. And this is true for sensors and devices, but it's also very true when it comes to making it part of the fabric of the network. So the network needs to be more pervasive, meaning that we can integrate it, as we've shown in walls, in anything that surrounds you, to be able to give that great user experience. So I think this is just one example of
the best pun I've heard so far in the show without anyone laughing. I hope there were some online. The fabric of the network. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's the fabric of the device as well.
So we start to get an idea of the new things that 6G will bring. But I think the biggest discussion we're definitely hearing at this event so far, and I'm expecting it all week, is about how we monetize on 5G. We've started the deployments. We're getting there. The question is, how can we get more out of the consumer share of pocket, even in difficult times? And we've been showing, you know, what more of the attractive use cases that are coming along to build on that first generation of fixed wireless access, right?
Yeah, now you mention it, because I think that we also realize that things take time in our industry, and fixed wireless have now come to a point where it's really millions of fixed wireless users, 4G, but also increasingly on 5G. And of course, devices are coming along, CPs are coming along, the right price points, allowing you to have a very competitive offering, gigabyte buckets. And of course, this is really a much more flexible, much more cost-efficient way to deploy broadband services to your homes, but also to the small and medium businesses, because as we've learned over the last 2-3 years, work from anywhere requires connectivity. It requires 5G midband everywhere, and then of course the fixed wireless access is the solution to that.
And those advanced markets, especially in Northeast Asia, we've seen applications that are very popular with younger generations, like gaming. We're showing some gaming demos here, a couple of different varieties, entertainment, start to become, with new partnerships, profitable options, right?
So what we are trying to bring together here is kind of the openness of the 5G network, the innovation platform, and that means that we work with partnerships, everything from startup in the 5G startup activities, where gaming is a big part right now, but also advanced AR cases where 5G's capabilities really come to full use. But to your point also, many of the gaming experiences on 5G today, with SA and network slices, they start to happen in the more advanced markets. And I think this is just one example of where you make best use of the network, but you also see that latency matches so well with the needs of the gaming community.
Yeah.
And then that carries over to differentiating network performance, ultimately leaving networks with a better way to monetize performance, better way to monetize differentiation. So you have one set of capabilities delivered over a slice to an enterprise or a part of the enterprise services, another one delivering to maybe the factory floor. These capabilities are of course built in, but now you start to see that the applications make use of them. And this is really what we show here.
And it's the start of the latency sensitive services. We start to see them really. This is a great way to prepare us for something insane from a tenfold perspective like XR, which will come along in the future. And yeah, this will get us ready.
No, it will. But I also think that it paves the way for what we now see as new and open networks. And therefore, the work that we are doing together with operators on network APIs, making sure that all these capabilities, the bounded latency, the advanced slicing capabilities, the edge compute, but also security services, authentication services, positioning services that are today only available on a local market, they will become available to the global developer community. And that's where working together, Ericsson and Vonage, working together with operators, working together with a broader ecosystem, as you heard with the Zooms of the world and the Black Nut on the gaming side, that really makes so much sense for developers, and that's really what we are seeing a lot of good examples for in this Mobile World Congress. Industry is coming together on that.
I had a lovely conversation with Savine earlier on that as well.
I heard that.
I think we're going to take some live questions, so I'll just see what we've got here. Just bear with me for a minute. Okay, this one's a good one. We talked about automation. I've got a question here on machine learning capabilities. I won't read the whole thing. What's going to be different when we apply machine learning in terms of what we already experience today for CSPs?
Yeah, so machine learning is already applied in both in our operations side, but also in the product. So that means that we're using the operational data that, of course, is already present in the network. We make it available on a granular level to machine learning algorithms. And that allows us to improve the performance, not just with the algorithms, but over time, learned behavior. And we are already seeing energy efficiency gains. We're already seeing efficiency in terms of reducing handover times. But if you go higher up the stack, this is much more about providing consistency in services. So for example, consistency in a network slice service, all the way up to the catalog and the service orchestration, the monetization part. So machine learning comes in at all layers of the network stack, all the way from the very lowest handling of the transport of the bits all the way up to the management system. And of course, we are also seeing now with the advancement on the chat side when it comes to generative AI that it's becoming readily available, commercialized, and of course we are doing that kind of journey also on the network side with all the operations data, all the data about the nodes in the network. So I think it's a great achievement so far, but there's much more to come in that space.
I hope so. I can be replaced by a bot in a couple of years.
Can. We absolutely can.
Especially for this role. And a couple more questions. Let's talk about how we use the spectrum most efficiently. The great question here, in terms of energy efficiency that we touched on at the start. C-band, mid-band, low-band, where can we be the most efficient? The question is it C-band?
Be more efficient.
Be more efficient from an energy perspective.
Well, I think it really, the question is good in terms of what bands do we actually make use of, and the answer is all bands. So we need the low bands, we need them for coverage, we need the mid bands, we need them for capacity. We also need the high bands for the super high capacity and typically the stadium cases. We have some great examples from recent sports events where fantastic experience is delivered to customers, whether they are on smartphones, on tablets or anything else, through the high bands. So you need all bands, low, mid, and high bands.
Well,
but when it comes to energy efficiency, it's really about delivering the many bits, the gigabytes over the most efficient medium. And mid-band there helps us tremendously when it comes to lowering the cost, lowering the energy consumption. So mid-band is critically important to roll out to get that benefit.
I think the concern in early days that I was picking up was if we go for those high bands, we need to turn up the power pokes quite a bit more to get more through. But clearly the advances in things that's existing inside the products, especially the silicon and so forth, and that we have to do much less cooling than perhaps some people would have expected in a lot of our new devices, right?
No, I think it comes down to energy efficiency is a combination of the Ericsson silicon, the hardware, and the advanced software, the deep sleep functionality, being able to not transmit when you're not required to do so. But mid-band, I'm coming back to that.
Yeah,
the fantastic capabilities of the mid-band technology with the right energy efficient and optimized silicon, that is the way to go to lower your energy consumption, but then with software adaptively follow the traffic. That is really what we are doing.
Right. And a final question, because I think it's going to fit really well to the whole experience. And we saw the 6G demos earlier.
Yep.
And somebody's asked, because I believe there are some announcements coming out during the event, when are we going to first see 6G go live?
So I think in an event like Barcelona, it's so good to see all the energy around 5G now, 5G monetization, 5G in enterprises, all the openness of the network. Next step in that journey is the 5G Advanced, where we start to see more capabilities in terms of time-sensitive networks, in terms of AI built into the system in a more profound way. And this is a journey. And then over time, we will see that the needs and the requirements from the industry at large, enterprises, society, will exceed what we can do with 5G and even 5G Advanced. And that's really the time to go for 6G. And if you look at it more from an industry, research, standardization point of view, we're still looking at around 2030. And I think that's a good time frame to think about this, because we see the advancement, you showed a few of them here, but you also see that it's many steps, not only on 5G and 5G Advanced, but there are many steps before we can commercialize some of these super wideband technologies, these energy harvesting sensors, all the full capabilities of AI. So think about it as a 2030 kind of
Absolutely, and the discussion is clearly about 5G and what we can get out of it. But I've really enjoyed seeing the research demos on the floor. I come from a fiber optics background, so actually see capacities through the air that we've been doing through, you know,
you're thinking about the 100 gigabit exam.
It's really outstanding, and you know, thanks to you and the team who've prepared all of this. But it is a journey, and we've got a lot to do with 5G. So
absolutely,
thank you for that.
Good.
And thanks for joining me. We're out of time for questions, so thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Matt.
And thank you, everybody, for your questions. I've really enjoyed walking through and talking them through, and I hope you've enjoyed the show today. If you'd like any more questions, please leave them in the chat. Someone will get back to you, and we'll do our best to answer it. So this is all for this year. I'd just like to say thank you for joining us. We've loved having you. Being here at Barcelona, as you can see, it's starting to get crowded again. That's a wonderful thing. And people have prioritized this event amid all the financial difficulties in the world, sustainability concerns. You see that it's still an important place to come and meet and make business happen and drive forward technology of our industry. So all that's left for me to do is to say thank you very much, and I'll see you next time on Imagine Live.